G'day guys, welcome back to another episode out in the kayak. And usually when I do these videos I have one certain thing in mind that I want to show off. Today we are just gonna see what sticks. Bought heaps of lures, 3 different rods, which I never usually do. But we're just gonna see what we can pick up in this beautiful little south coast estuary. Another basically kayak only spot. Look, I'll run through the details of the day after the intro, but first off I think we're going to chase a bream just against these oyster leases here. And then I guess give a bit of a breakdown of the plan. I guess the whole thing of today is how I'm thinking about fishing an estuary when I'm just going out to see if I can get fish rather than just focusing on one technique. So yeah, let's roll the intro and we'll see if we can pick up a bream first. See if we can kick things off with a bream. So what we've got, it's only about 1 metre deep the whole way through here. Another beautiful, very shallow, lots of sand, lots of broken weed, and some beautiful oyster racks. Although they're the newer style, those floating ones, which don't fish anywhere as good as the old wooden type. We're kind of going back to the roots, and we're just going to start things off with a little bream crank. Shallow diving bream crank. Just rolled over the weed next to the oyster baskets. And you might be able to tell from the video that the water is very discoloured. We've had 2 minor flood events down here on the far south coast. So if that might have gone for a pretty dark, well, it's black, a dark colour, a nice hard silhouette in the dirty water. I don't mind the old black just in any conditions really, but for this dirtier stuff I think a very dark colour or a super bright. I was just getting the edge of the weed there. So I've covered this technique fairly in depth in my first ever video. Certainly one of my favourite ways of catching bream, and dead simple, where just a slow wind. You'll see I'm winding pretty fast actually, but that's because we've got an incoming tide. So if I was doing a slow wind it just wouldn't be getting that action happening. Where do we want to go? So yeah, we've got top of the tide in about 3 hours time, I believe. Certainly wasn't going to get up early for today's session because it would have just been the bottom of the tide, and I don't think there would have been all too much action happening. Yes, my rough game plan is chase a bream, possibly see if there's a surface whiting around, being summer. And then we'll start focusing on a flathead at some point, but I'm just going to make my way down to the mouth, which you can nearly see from here. See what the clean water's like coming in. Yeah, just going to adjust the game plan all day, see what works. This will probably be a bit more of a long form video because usually if I chuck a lure on and I'm not getting much action on it, I don't really include that in part of the video, but I guess this could be handy for people who are getting out on an estuary and just showing off my thought process on what to put on and why and all that. So let me know what you reckon of that idea. Hopefully it works out. Might be a whole lot of talking, but yeah, hopefully we get a few fish out of it too. Oh, that was a hit. Yeah, got one. That is either a very good bream or we've managed to hook a flathead. Which one is it? I think that's a bream. Yeah, it's a nice bream. It's a very nice bream. So yeah, that's the ground that I got him out of, just that patchy sand and weed and just that slow rolled black bream crank. And I do believe he actually had 2 goes at that, or missed it and then came back. That's a good start. Oh. And we've got him. Beautiful. Love it when a plan comes together. There you go. It's a chunky little bream. He actually kind of looks, for some reason, a lot older than how long he is. He's got a very big head on him. Just a little stumpy guy. And so that is the Pro Lure shallow diving crank. I'll give you a better look at it here in a sec. We'll get this guy back. There we go. Beautiful bream. Just bringing a bream crank back with the incoming tide. Good stuff. And off he goes. So yeah, there's plenty of bream cranks on the market. I do like these Pro Lure ones. The atomic ones are also up there in terms of my favourites. And I may as well quickly go over the gear. So this is a Atomic Arrows bream surface, 3 to 8 pound, 1000 size Stratic with 6 pound braid and I believe 4 pound fluoro on there at the moment. And I like to run a really long leader. I've probably got 3 meters of leader. And you can get that done by using an FG knot. I wouldn't bother trying to put that much leader on with anything else, that you'll just get, your line will get caught up as you cast. But I do like a long leader for chasing bream. They're a little bit spooky on the flats. Anyways, we'll just head back to where we got him and keep working up along that edge, see if we can get another one. Yes, and all the gear used, of course, you can find from the legends down at Boss Outdoor Marimbula. And I'll put links in the description to all the gear that they have online there. So I've seen bream around. They are up here. I've got one more little nudge on the bream crank, but it's actually even a little bit too shallow for it. It's just clipping the top of these weeds. And I have seen some little jelly prawns skipping around. So I'm going to chuck on a surface lure just to see what happens. It's nearly a little bit late in the day for bream on surface, so I thought it to be fully firing, but it's worth a shot. It's always fun when you get a fish on it. So just putting on the good old MMD splash prawn. Bit of S factor. And just like the bream cranks, this has been used here before. Just basically going to do a slow bloop bloop pause kind of retrieve, and we'll see what happens. You just never know. With prawns skipping about, there's a chance we'll pick up a bream or a whiting. Spooked a big flathead, which is a good sign. Well, I don't know if that would have shown up, but there was a school of little bream just hounding that thing. They're just not finding the hooks for some reason. And yeah, in case you don't know, summer is topwater bream season. It's when the prawns are running. They get tuned into these topwater baits. Can throw them year round, but really, yeah, summer months are when it's worth throwing them a lot. You get a fair bit of action. Even if they're little guys like this, it's all fun as. There we go. Oh, calm down. Little baby topwater bream. MMD splash prawn. Well guys, I think I'm up to my old habits of doing the old forget to press record, but there is a topwater trevally. I think that's a first for me. Yeah, sorry if I didn't have the start of the fight. I know I got the very end of it, but he just came and slurped it off the surface. Thought he was a bream, but no, a trevally. How's that? Well guys, not much love for the old surface lure. So I've just gone back to a crank because the water's really cleared up, gone for a bit more natural kind of colour. This is atomic bream crank. So just going to do exactly as it was to begin with, which is casting it over the weed beds, slow wind back. I'm just going to be floating naturally with the tide this time. Got him. Now what are you? I think we got a bream. Been seeing lots of them, just not hooking them. No, we've got a little Luderick. Pretty uncommon to catch on a lure. It does happen, but pretty cool thing to see. You must have been hungry. And that's funny because we'll get this lure out and I'll show you why that's a bit funny. Now, do you see any resemblance between the lure and the fish there? Steve Morgan, I've heard say, he reckons these lures work so good on bream because they imitate a baby Luderick. And I reckon he could be on the money, but this Luderick's thought it looked pretty tasty too. Oh, nearly got me something. Oh. Lucky he's just spat it, but there you go. They are a pretty uncommon catch, but you can catch them on heaps of different stuff. Plastics and divers and all the rest. I have even heard of people getting them on surface lures on a very rare occasion. There's a cool little bit of bycatch, little Luderick. Yeah, got him. Little flatty. We're going to lift him straight in because he's somewhat choked down that bream crank, and I don't want him wearing through the leader. There we go, little flatty. Yeah, he is probably going to spike me. It's around about this size that they get pretty annoying to handle, and I do believe he's got both trebles in him. See if I can do the old flip him upside down and chill him out thing. Yeah, he has choked down that little bream crank. Ooh, so close. There we go. Cool. Little flatty, can't complain. See ya. Gonna check the leader after that. We're all good. Got one. There's like another not bad brimbo. I was just about to change tactics. That was going to be last cast. Lift a little brim crank. Oh, he's got a mate behind him. Oh, he's got a whole school with him. They've just gone off that way. He's over here. Here's a very beautiful, clean brim. Yeah, that will be the last cast with the brim crank for now. I think what I want to do next is get the drone up. Just have a look around, see if we can see any big flatties in this little cove behind us. But anyways, let's get this fella in the net. Oh, so close. Come on. There we go. Just trying to do it delicately so I don't put the trebles all the way down the bottom of this net, but I think I've managed to do that anyways. He's a pretty good brim. We'll fish him out. Yeah, trebles right down the bottom of the net. So there we go. Another very nice brim. And that is the Atomic 38 shallow. Beautiful yellowfin brim. Nice and clean. Pretty. Alright, I'll unhook him and get him back. Well, change of plan, gang. I believe in the last clip I said I'd swap over to chasing some flathead, but I've just gone for a little explore and I found this absolutely lovely sand flat. It looks quite good for flatty too, but I'm just going to see if there's any whiting around while this tide's still pushing in. I've kind of found that whiting on lures generally like the incoming tide. Which is a little bit funny because most of the time you'll clean up on the baits on the outgoing, but I've just noticed with lures sometimes that tide will change and they'll just switch off completely on lures, which is pretty odd, but it's just what I've noticed. So I've just put on the classic Bass Day sugapen. So that's just got the assist hooks on the back just to increase hookups, but that is got to be probably Australia's or most people's favourite whiting topwater lure, and that colour specifically. So may as well chuck it on and have some casts around, see if there's any in here. Looks good for them. So with a whiting retrieve, fair bit different to the brim, where just a constant burn and a very kind of sharp action, trying to draw in the whiting's attention from afar. And if you stop the retrieve, most of the time they'll just lose interest completely. And these surface stick baits are absolutely dynamite on them. They're a little tricky to use if you haven't used them before. It's a little bit of a pat your head and rub your stomach kind of situation where it's easiest if you have your rod tip about 45 degrees from where you're retrieving from, and you just want to do subtle little flicks of the rod tip just like this. And so I do that by just moving my forearm slightly, but also working in just a slow wind, and we might just see that's how you get it to do that side to side walking action. If you're finding that it's just kind of tracking in a straight line instead of walking across the surface, you just want to put in a little bit of slack, or keep a little bit of slack in the line between each flick of the rod tip, and that'll get it side to side. Kind of as much water as you can get the stick bait spitting is what the whiting generally like, is what I've found. Got the wind behind us, so nice big cast, just burning it across the surface. Kind of makes your arm sore after a while, but it does the trick. It's a flathead. Come on, eat it. Got him. Oh, that was pretty cool. Thought he might have been an absolute donkey whiting for a second, but no, we've picked up a flatty on the sugapen. Sorry guys, I'm having an absolute doozy with the remembering to record, but there we go. You would have had the hook up on this thing here. Thought he was a big old whiting having a crack to begin with, but no, it's not a bad lizard. Yeah, I'm very happy I've hooked him on the outside of the mouth, otherwise I think he would have busted me off by now. And I'm going to try something new, because the net, you end up with trebles all through it. It's no good. So, got some newbie lip grips from Mustard. So, just going to be very patient and try and lip grip him. You know, I'm extending the fight time, but I'd rather him be in the water than out of the water in the net while I try and get all the trebles out. So just going to have to hope he comes over here and opens his mouth. Oh, there we go. Not a bad flatty. And that tiny little sugapen. Came up and boofed it twice. So we'll quickly get these hooks out of him and get him back. Took ages to finally get him to open his mouth to put the lip grips in, but I'd kind of much rather him be in the water than out of the water and in the net, and I'm trying to get the hooks out of the net. So there you go, one more look at him. He's a beauty. Off he goes. And we'll just show these lip grips off here. So I had a look at heaps and heaps. I've used the little plastic ones, but look, they can be a little bit hard to use one-handed when you've got a flatty next to the kayak. I like the single hand use of these, and then these actually, even though they've got a bit of sand in there, these actually rotate as well. So if that flatty decides to roll, you're not gonna, well, hopefully not, put a big hole in his mouth from the these tips going through. There you go, not bad. Big stingray. Now, seeing as there is at least a flatty in here, or was a flatty in here, and it's the perfect kind of depth for trying this out, I just wanted to give this a go. So this is something that I've kind of rigged up in my own way. It is a Z-Man, so it is a floating soft plastic, and I've got just a single inline hook in it and then a treble up the back, and this is kind of the second iteration of this. The first one swam absolutely beautifully. It was using two inline hooks. I just thought the treble up the back might be even better. And it's just like a surface lure because it's floating. But you can see there it just gets that wobble happening across the surface. And I just figure it's perfect for this kind of terrain where it's super shallow, but then also if you were using a shallow diver or a soft plastic, it's kind of weedy enough that that would foul up on the hooks. So yeah, I kind of just thought this would be a pretty good idea for this kind of spot. Anyways, let's give it a go. See if there's any flatties in here. Want to eat it. Looks pretty good. Looks very good. Yep, got one. Well, I guess they like it. I guess they like it. That worked perfect. He's not a bad flatty either. That worked perfect, guys. Well, now that I know that, I might even give you a bit closer look at what's going on with it as soon as I get this flatty sorted out here. Come on, turn around so I can have a look at you. Yeah. He's not happy. At least he's got his mouth. Ah, jinxed it. He had his mouth open for me. He ain't a bad one. Oh! Should have just used the net. He is right there. I can see my lure in his gob. Well, that's a bit of a bugger, but I've got another one here ready to go. Hopefully he's not the last one we come across. Hopefully he shakes that thing as well, the lure, and it just comes floating back up to the surface so I can pick it up. I'm sure he will shake it eventually. But here's the setup that I'm running. And if you guys are interested, I might just do a separate video on how I actually do it. But it's just a single inline hook up the front, that's a 1/0. And then trebles down the back and some 50-pound Dacron through the middle. And all I've done is tie that onto the treble. Then I just tie an overhand knot in the Dacron where it needs to be, slip it over the single hook, and then just put on a soft bead to stop it coming up the hook shank. Looks very pretty, I reckon. Anyways, we'll try this one on and see if we can get another one. Well, had no more love on the surface soft plastic for flatties, but there was a few inquisitive bream coming to check it out, so I've just chucked on a little bent minnow, and that was second cast. He's only a little guy, but it's another fish. So you never know, we might be onto a few bream in here. And I just chose the bent minnow because, well, it's the same thinking behind that surface soft plastic is it kind of dips just below the surface without going too deep, because it is pretty shallow in parts through here and pretty weedy. So a soft plastic and a diver's just going to get fouled up. So let's see if we can get a few bream on the bent minnow. Well, time for a bit of lunch, I reckon. So we've got 2 decent bream, 2 decent flatty, drop one next to the kayak. This is top of the tide. I think it's just started to push back out. Look, both bream and flatty are still going to be viable targets. We might have one more little flick for bream, and then we'll change over to flatties on this falling tide. Well, there's another little bream bow, I think. And they might be the target for the rest of the day. It doesn't seem that the flatties are firing, or that they're not where I'd usually expect them, or taking what they usually would. But there's good bream around, so let's chase them. I'll probably change my mind in a second again, but hey, that's fishing. That's going with the flow. But can't complain with beautiful bream like this. He has choked that little atomic crank. Very nice fish. Well, there he is, and possibly best of the day maybe. Just getting into the 30s there. Mid 30s or so. And that little atomic crank pinned him, both trebles. We'll get him off and we'll keep flicking. Another little baby bream, I believe. And he very well could be last fish of the day. Oh. Come on, calm down. Calm down. Beautiful little yellowfin bream. I'm going to unhook him and I'm going to charge back to the launching spot. And there is one nice snag around the corner, which I've kind of been hanging out to hit all day, but was no good this morning on the low tide. So we're going to do that. I'm going to charge off and I'll see you at the snag. Yep, got him. Now I'd say what we've got here is probably an estuary perch. Doesn't really look like much at the moment because of the dirty water, but there's a few nice logs just along this edge here. He feels not bad, this one. And yeah, there we go. Lovely little estuary perch. Ooh, I can feel the line tinging somehow. Let's get him in the net. There we go. Beautiful. What a good way to round out the day. There we have. Nice little estuary perch. And he's just choked down that, I think it's a 75 mil double clutch. Yeah, very cool creatures. He has the mouths on them, huge. And look, this front treble wasn't even in. It's just that the lure is jammed in his mouth. The bib's against that side, the trebles are in the other. There you go. There we go. Now the cool thing about estuary perch too is they usually school up on snags together. So let's put him over here. Fingers crossed we can pull another one off. Well, that's gonna do it, guys. EP to round things out. Fun little session. Tried some things, they paid off, some things didn't, but that is fishing. Would have been good to net that flathead on the Topwater soft plastic. That would have been pretty cool, but I'm sure you will see that featured on the channel very soon. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this more random kind of fishing expedition of just going out and seeing what's working on the day. Let me know if you have, and either way, I'll see you in the next video.